I'm going to talk to you this time about the word. It's actually one word, but it has different versions. We'll start with the word subscribe. Subscribe, and what typically that is we subscribe to all kinds of things. We subscribe to magazines, YouTube channels. We subscribe to. I know a lot of people that subscribe to something called a Bible. There's different versions of that to subscribe to. I know a lot of people that subscribe to something called A Course in Miracles, and it's great. Some of my best mentors and coaches have been staunch A Course in Miracles teachers. A lot of this work that I do has it woven in there, A Course in Miracles, a more practical approach. With all my experience in sales and just throughout transformation training, but you can subscribe to other things too, like ineffective belief structures, ineffective chatter that runs in the subconscious. You hear somebody say something and it becomes something you subscribe to. Example, I've used this before. A lot of people subscribe to the fact that the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But technically, that's not the definition. That's just what Albert Einstein called it. But people buy that off as a definition. They call it the definition, and it's really not. That's just one example. Here's another example. So my client, we're having a conversation the other night about stuff that's going on, and she was telling me, my apprentice, I should say, my client, she was telling me that she had questions coming up about if she could actually do it, go out on her own and do her business and create her vision and create her life. She had questions coming up, doubt and things like that. Well, that came from somewhere. She was able to subscribe to that at some point in her life. So from the parents, father in particular, he was very, things were never good enough. No matter what choice was made, it wasn't the right one. There was always doubt. There was always something that just wouldn't, you making the wrong choice. So that was what she grew up with. Now, she was subscribing to that in the background, and we just kind of looked at it and identified it. It's not complicated. And we just said, is that effective or not effective? Well, we determined that it was not effective to continue to subscribe to a belief structure and unconscious conversations running in the background as chatter that are going to have us doubt ourselves. So that, to replace that conversation, you just say everything. You call it affirmation, a mantra, whatever. It's just actually just starting a new process, because your mind is a computer. We're starting a new process at that point. And the new process or the new conversation to replace that with for her was, everything I do is an easy success, because it always has been. Based on results, she's done really well. She had a great job, great education, da 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 da. She manifests results like crazy, powerful person, and she has some doubt. We all do. In fact, the question is are we going to listen to it? So we found that's a good example of subscribing. Now, this came up, this specific distinction of subscribing, because I saw it was what she was doing. And there's another version of that called describing. Now, when you describe, this is another example in the English language where you have the opportunity to separate from the whole, because the prefix de literally means to separate. So you're basically separating from whatever it is and writing a description about it, or describing it with your language. Now, there's nothing wrong with that either. And is that the most effective thing you could do? Could be not. Describing something can sometimes limit you. A lot of times it can limit you. It can also set you free, depending on how you're using the word. So what I invited her to do, and coming back to this, was actually become the scribe for her life, rather than to subscribe to something, describe things, and kind of push them away, and to start scribing or authoring her experience with a new conversation or affirmation, saying, everything I do is a simple success, is an easy success, easy. And to just say that instead of the other stuff. To even ask a question, can I do it, is rooted in doubt. So you got to kind of overwrite that, or override it in a computer. So if you override it, you're overwriting like program code. And You just start from there moving forward. You don't have to reverse an old process or anything like that, because you can't do that anyway. That's a whole other video I'm going to do, reversing the process. That's a great one. And it's just like a matter of catching the conversation, identifying is it effective or not effective to support you in what you're up to and your vision, and then if it is, continue to use it, and if it's not, scribe a new one.